Hello there and welcome to my first online battle of 2021 and my first one for a long old time, to be honest. I've only just started jumping back into quick battles from the latest patch and I want to try and make these a regular thing again, so we'll see how we progress through quick battles. We're going to start at the bottom of the ladder, so we're going to be getting newer opponents first. Naturally, I've started off diving back in as my Greenskins, my favourite faction, and I'm facing some Dark Elves, who doesn't seem like a bad player. He's got a decent formation, got an okay build. We'll talk about that later on though. For my build, I've got 3 units of Orc Boys up front. These are my front line. They'll do great against the Dark Elves. The Dark Elves don't have the strongest of front lines, especially when I'm backing my front line with Stone Trolls. 3 units of Stone Trolls going to be with each of those units of Orc Boys to just bring the absolute pain on the front line. They're also going to be backed by the Black Orc Big Boss, who's going to bring leadership, who's going to bring melee attack, going to be especially useful for those trolls, and who is just going to bring some pain himself. So he's a great support for the front line, as my Lord is not going to be around there. I've also got some big uns just for some anti-large stuff, and to slightly protect my 1 unit of Araboys, who are there just in case I need to fire at something in the sky. So that's the main bulk of my army. Out to the left, I've got various cavalry ready to go. I've got some squig hoppers. These are nice and quick, going to be good for catching those dark shards or shades, any missile units basically. And I've got a couple of skirmish cavs, spider riders, always useful. And I've got the mangy marauders for armor piercing missiles as well. So I'm bringing the beef power on the front line, and then I'm going to be flanking around with all that fast cav to harass the back lines. And my Lord choice is Azag on Skullmuncher, a nice fast flying Lord. Do have to be a little bit careful because the Dark Elves do have some strong flying units, but he's nice and fast, so he's going to be staying out of trouble just fine. So we push towards the enemy. Out on the flanks, he's put some Vanguard deployed Ravens Heralds, the armor piercing flying cav. He's also got Slanesh's Harvesters, so I've got to try and deal with those. I couldn't see Slanesh's Harvesters straight away, they were hidden, but I'm going to engage my 2 Spider Riders on his flying units. They don't have a lot of armor, so these Spider Riders will do okay, although their armor piercing missiles will hurt us a fair bit, but seems like an okay trade-off to me. Going to keep moving the rest of my cav around the flank because I want to push after missiles, and I've got those armor piercing missiles still up there as well. Front lines are coming in. The enemy, he's got 3 units of Dread Spears up front, 2 units of Dark Shards in the gap, maybe a little bit too up front and exposed there. He's got 2 units of Witch Elves, kind of on the edges, 1 unit of Black Ark Corsairs, and the Blades of the Blood Queen. So he's gone very infantry heavy, which is curious against the Greenskins. His Lord is Malice on a mount to keep him mobile, and he also has a Sorcerer as well of Beasts. So yeah, a very infantry heavy army. Is it good to try and play infantry to out-infantry the Greenskins? Is that a good idea? We'll find out. I'm going to approach the enemy. He's going to pretty much stay put, letting me take the initiative, which, again, has problems in itself. He's bringing over his Slanesh's Harvesters to get after my cav, but of course he's not going to catch them. I'm going to start to get some fire on him. That's going to poison those Harvesters, slow them down. They're never going to catch my Spider Riders, and we're just going to cronk out damage on them. That's right, cronk out damage, whatever that means. Front lines are coming up. Orc Boys are going to engage, and then the Trolls will come in behind them. I came to engage with my Squig Hoppers back here, but his Dark Shards, they were on skirmish, so they moved back a bit. And I didn't want to get tied up with those Witch Elves in case they put me into Rampage, so playing it safe for now. Front lines still approaching. My Trolls are on the way up as well. I put them a bit further back than the Orc Boys because they run faster. They'd get there way before the Orc Boys if they were in the same spot, so I had to put them back a bit. Everything's moving up. He brings his Dread Spears out to get a hold of my Squig Hoppers wisely, but I do notice in the nick of time. Now, the trouble for my opponent here is that he brought his Dread Spears away, which has opened up his Dark Shards. He's going to answer with the Witch Elves, though, so he does have something to answer, and Witch Elves will do well against Orc Boys, but they won't do so well against Trolls, so they're going to struggle there. Same thing over here. He sent his Black Ark Corsairs in first instead of the Dread Spears, which is a wise move. Those anti-infantry units will do much better against Orc Boys than the Dread Spears will, so he's making some good moves here. Over here, he brought his Dread Spears out. I did notice and moved away. I'm going to split off because he can't follow both units. If I send them both the same way, he kind of controls them, but if I split them off, he can only control 1 unit. In the back here, he's given up trying to chase my skirmish cav. He's going after my stationary Araboys instead, but I've got big uns ready to help defend them. They are going to take a bit of a charge. I'm also going to bring some Squig Hoppers back to try and get a hold of them because they're a very fast cav. Got to try and get rid of those. My Trolls are putting the damage on the Witch Elves and on the Black Ark Corsairs, and all that anti-infantry is getting smashed by Trolls. The Dread Spears are going to do a little bit to the Trolls, but the Orc Boys are there stopping that, so they're kind of taking damage. I've got Azag in here disrupting missiles. I've got Squig Hoppers here disrupting the other missiles. So I've got him well and truly under control. He's got Malice around somewhere, beating the crap out of these Harvesters. He did manage to beat up my Araboys, but that's no big loss. We've taken out mostly his Slanesh's Harvesters. Still got the Squig Hoppers on them and some missiles harassing. I am going to switch targets to take out these Ravens Heralds though, because they're pretty strong with those armor-piercing missiles. Malice did try to come after my Lord, so I got him out of there. Don't want to mess around with Malice. Azag is not that strong in melee, at least compared to Malice. So try to stay out of his way. We're crumping the front lines though. these stone trolls, the combination of stone trolls and Black Orc Big Boss is a pretty common one and a very strong one. For good reason, it just does so much damage with the extra melee attack on stone trolls. A tidy 45 melee attack for them means they do a hell of a lot of damage, especially against infantry. And this is why you really shouldn't try to beat the Greenskins at their own game. The Greenskins have some of the best infantry in the game. Overall, one of the best infantry corps of an army. So when you come to fight the Greenskins, you probably don't want to try and beat them at their own game and try to just out-melee them with infantry. Unless you're maybe a strong infantry faction yourselves, which the Dark Elves definitely aren't. They've got a lot of strong tools. Infantry is not really one of them. They've got some good units by all means. Blackguard, Haganeth Executioners, Witch Elves. But against the Greenskins, they've got too many threats. So my opponent here, really, his loss was because of his build. He didn't play terribly badly or anything. He just didn't really have any answers to all those stone trolls. Dread Spears are good, but they can't really take on stone trolls when they're being smashed in the face by Orc Boys as well. So yeah, didn't really have any answers. He had the Witch Elves, which probably should have been something else. He had the anti-infantry, which is all good, but Greenskins don't have great anti-large, so that's something he maybe could have tried to take advantage of. He could have bought a lot more cavalry, he could have bought some monsters. These things the Greenskins wouldn't be so hot at taking out. But we'll talk about the build a little more in a second. For this one, I was able to crump these Dark Elves this day. Let's have a look at some kills. You see my secret alias there, the Chimp. Now, to look at some damage value, Azag 1400, not bad, not fantastic for a lord, but not bad. Black Orc Big Boss didn't do a lot, but he was supporting. Those Orc Boys did really well, over 1,000 damage for them. Not too bad from the other ones, but nothing special. It's not bad for infantry to have about 500-ish. Big Uns didn't do a lot, they were chasing the Slashers. Harvesters around, those got run down. Some of my Cav did pretty well, one of them did really well, the other one not too bad. The Skirmish Cavs did okay, Mangy Marauders did a bit. Stone Trolls crumped a lot of stuff, that one especially. So very much a team effort from my army, no really single strong performers. For my enemy, Malice not getting a great deal done, only 1,000, that's not great for a lord. Nothing really from the infantry. The Witch Elves had to fight the Stone Trolls, so they didn't get a lot done. The Haganeth boys, they got 1,400, as you might expect. Dark Shards got run through, they didn't have much of a chance, and neither did the Cav. So my enemy couldn't get a lot done with the stuff he had. Like I said, I think that was just more of a bad matchup, and maybe he could have chosen some better units. A good game to him all the same, he played alright. I think his main issue was that he tried to beat the Greenskins at their own game, the thing they're best at. So let's have a look at what he could have done differently. He played very defensive as well. He pretty much sat there in his kind of formation, allowed me to push on him from the front, from the sides. Didn't really push on me, he was just sat there. A lot of people find this, or they think this is easier to play this way, but it leaves you kind of reactive, as I've said many times in many videos before. When you sit there and just wait for the opponent to make the moves and then you react to them, that's not a good way to play. You need to try to take the initiative, take control of situations and choose what's happening on the battlefield, rather than sitting there and just letting your opponent do it. Unless you have a really superior ranged army, then you can sit there, but when you've only got 2 units of Dark Shards and mostly infantry, you need to be pushing on the enemy, trying to do stuff to them instead. Like I said, he had a lot of anti-infantry. Overall, a lot of infantry in general. 3 units of Dark Shards, 2 Witch Elves, 1 Black Ark Corsairs, and the Blades of the Blood Queen. Entirely an infantry army. 1 unit of Cav, 1 unit of Flying Cav, but definitely not enough for fighting the Greenskins. He maybe could have adjusted like this, getting rid of those Witch Elves, getting rid of those Black Ark Corsairs. You can keep the Dread Spears. I've dropped it down to regular Haganeth Executioners to save money, but he's got 3 units of Cav now. Anti-large Cav. Those are good at, guess what? Taking out large things. What have I got that's dangerous? Trolls. They're going to take a bit of a pounding from trolls, but at least they could put the hurt on trolls and maybe rout them, because they don't have a lot of leadership. Also going to drop down the Slaanesha's Harvesters to just regular Doomfire Warlocks. I'm going to replace the Dark Shards with repeater crossbows. Still strong armor-piercing missiles, but at least they can run away from Greenskins now. Dark Shards are going to get caught and smashed to pieces. At least the repeater crossbows can run away from stuff and reposition quickly. And that's another big problem with his army. He didn't have any mobility apart from the 2 units. You need more mobility in armies. Infantry heavy, there is a time and a place for, but mostly armies need a lot of mobility. Why? Because things with mobility can reposition and adjust quickly. So when your opponent does something that isn't favorable to you, you can change things around to get the advantage back. If you have all slow units, you can't really do that. So yeah, with a bit more mobility, a bit more cav, he could have cycle charged my infantry. I wouldn't have been able to get hold of him, and he would have done a lot better. Those are my thoughts anyway. I'm by no means a Dark Elves player, but I do know from Greenskin's experience, when people try to beat the Greenskins in a melee fight head on, it usually doesn't do too well unless they're a strong melee faction themselves. But there we go. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. Like I say, I'm going to try and do these a bit more. with quick battles, you start off playing the kind of newer opponents, so I'm probably going to get some easier opponents to start with, and as I move up the rankings, I should start to face some of the tougher opponents, and probably a bunch of cheese as well, but I'll show you some battles as we go, and we'll see how it progresses. So yeah, thanks for watching, hope you've enjoyed this, see you in the fucking future, boy or lady.